Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive, specifically for you Vintage Car Chronicles fans out there. You know how much we love diving into the stories behind iconic cars, right? And the people who made them legends. But today, we're going to switch gears a little bit.
Well,
We're going to explore the life and career of a man who became a legend himself, Ken Block. Now, if you're into cars, you've almost definitely seen those mind-blowing Gymkhana videos.
hmm,
But there's so much more to this guy. He was a rally driver, a co-founder of DC Shoes,
hmm
and a true force in the automotive world. So the question is, how did this guy who started out in action sports become such a global phenomenon?
What's really interesting about Ken Block is that his journey, it wasn't like a straight shot to success. He had this incredible ability to adapt. He took what he learned from the skateboarding world,
Yeah.
and then he applied it to his passion for pushing limits behind the wheel. And I think that combination is what made him so unique and ultimately so successful.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. Ken Block's story begins in California, where he was immersed in skateboarding, snowboarding, and motocross from a young age. Talk about a recipe for pushing boundaries and having fun, right?
Absolutely. That foundation in action sports was crucial. It wasn't just about the skills he developed, but also the mindset. He brought that same sense of style and creativity and a deep understanding of what resonated with audiences, especially online, to the world of motorsports.
And we can't forget his entrepreneurial side. In 1994, he co-founds DC Shoes, a company that really targeted a niche market, skateboarders looking for specialized footwear.
Yeah, and the success of DC Shoes really speaks volumes about Ken Block's vision. I mean, they went from a small startup to this global brand that was eventually acquired by Quicksilver. And that sale gave him the financial freedom to really chase his passion for rallying, which, as we'll see, became a major turning point in his life.
Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. In 2005, Block dives headfirst into the world of professional rallying. And he didn't just stick his toes in, he fully committed, racking up early wins and showing incredible dedication to the sport, all while his fame was growing through these other ventures.
Yeah, a lot of people might have just dabbled, but Block's competitive drive was just relentless. He was winning rallies in the United States, grabbing medals at the X Games, and even taking on the World Rally Championship, which
Yep.
is basically the Formula One of rallying. This is where the best of the best compete, and Block was right there in the mix.
Now, while he was making a name for himself in professional rallying, something really special was brewing, the birth of Gymkhana. It all started with that first video shot on an abandoned airfield, which, looking back, almost feels like it was a happy accident that changed everything.
Right. You know what's so fascinating about those early Gymkhana videos is how organic they felt. But at the same time, they tapped into something really special, that raw thrill of incredible driving the creativity of the stunts. And it was all delivered with Block's approachable, fun-loving personality. And I think this was a big part of why they resonated so strongly with viewers.
And those videos absolutely exploded. They were
Yeah.
getting millions of views. Block was gaining global recognition. And with each new Gymkhana video, he pushed the boundaries even further. It was like he was reinventing what was possible with a car.
Yeah, the evolution of the Gymkhana series is really a story in itself. The videos just got bigger, bolder, and more creative. Block was constantly pushing the limits of what could be done behind the wheel. From taking over the streets of San Francisco to drifting through the industrial landscapes of Dubai, Block was always finding new ways to amaze us.
But hold on, it wasn't all about Gymkhana. Block was also competing in rallycross. He decided to take on the legendary Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, and even started exploring electric vehicles through a collaboration with Audi. This guy was always looking for new challenges and never seemed content to stand still.
That's right. And I think that speaks to Block's constant desire to push himself. Both as a driver and as an innovator, he wanted to explore new technologies, new driving disciplines, and he always seemed to be on the cutting edge of what was happening in the automotive world. It's like he knew that staying ahead of the curve was crucial, not just for him, but for the future of motorsport itself. Welcome back to our deep dive into the life of Ken Block. Last time we left off with Block really starting to push the boundaries of what was possible in motorsports. And in the world of automotive entertainment,
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that the Gymkhana videos weren't just about crazy stunts. They were really game changers in how motorsport was presented to the world. Block took this niche discipline rallying and turned it into something that captivated a global audience. But the series itself went through some major evolution over time. What were some of the key moments that really stand out in that journey?
well, each video kind of built on the last one, pushing the creative envelope and showcasing Block's ever-evolving driving skills. But a few definitely stand out. Gymkhana 5, filmed on the streets of San Francisco, really took things to a whole new level. Imagine Block drifting through those iconic streets, jumping over hills, all with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. It was pure spectacle.
Gymkhana 5 was a masterpiece. I remember watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
And just being blown away, not just by the driving, but by the production quality.
Yeah.
It felt more like a Hollywood action film than a car video.
Exactly. That was a turning point for the series. It became about creating these mini-movies with storylines, special effects, and a level of polish that was unheard of in the automotive world at the time. It set a new standard for car content, and, other creators were definitely taking notes.
Then you have Gymkhana 7 with Block tearing through the streets of Los Angeles in that insane 1965 Ford Mustang, the Hoonigan. Now, we need to talk about this car for a second. This wasn't just some souped-up Mustang. This was a monster.
Ah, yes, the Hoonigan. This thing was a legend in its own right. 845 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and a look that was pure aggression. It perfectly captured Block's over-the-top go big or go home attitude. And it wasn't just for show. That car could really perform.
And the locations just kept getting more outrageous. Gymkhana 8 in Dubai was like something out of a science fiction film, with Block drifting around supercars and even a giant Boeing 747.
Yeah, Block had this knack for finding these incredible locations that most people would never even think of as places to drive a car, let alone perform the kind of stunts he was doing.
And let's not forget Gymkhana 10, which was basically a global tour of tire-slaying mayhem. With Block driving 5 different cars in 5 totally unique locations, it felt like the perfect culmination of a series that had been pushing boundaries for years.
You're right, it was a culmination in a lot of ways. Gymkhana 10 marked Block's last time behind the wheel for the main series, although he did return for the electric-powered Electricana a few years later. But it was clear that he was already starting to think about what might come next. How he could keep pushing the boundaries of automotive entertainment.
Oh yeah, Electricana was another game changer. Seeing Block ripping through the streets of Las Vegas in that futuristic Audi S1 Hoonitron was mind-blowing. It proved that even in the world of electric vehicles, there was still room for that signature Ken Block style and excitement.
Absolutely. But as successful as the Gymkhana series was, it's important to remember that Block's ventures extended far beyond those videos. He was a competitor at heart, always searching for the next challenge, the next opportunity to push himself and his driving skills to the limit.
And those challenges took him all over the world. From rallycross, which is kind of like rally racing meets NASCAR, to hill climbs, which are these insane races up winding mountain roads. Block seemed to excel at every motorsport discipline he touched.
He was a true competitor. And really successful, too. He competed in the Global Rallycross Championship, winning races and podiums. He tackled the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, one of the most demanding and dangerous races in the world, driving a car that was essentially a modified 1986 Audi Sport Quattro S1. And he even tried his hand at off-road racing, competing in the grueling Baja 1000.
It's like he was driven to prove himself in every type of motorsport imaginable. And what's amazing is that he wasn't just doing it for the fame or the glory. He was genuinely passionate about pushing the limits of what was possible behind the wheel, no matter the vehicle or the terrain.
Exactly. And he brought that same combination of precise driving and showmanship to everything he did. It was never just about winning. It was about doing it with style, with creativity, and with that signature Ken Block flair.
It really is incredible when you think about the full scope of his career. From co-founding a global shoe brand, to becoming a rally champion, to pioneering a whole new genre of automotive entertainment with the Gymkhana series. It's hard to think of another figure in the automotive world who has had such a wide-ranging impact.
And that's what makes Ken Block's legacy so powerful. He didn't just fit into one box. He transcended traditional motorsport boundaries. He was a driver, a businessman, a content creator, and a true icon. He inspired a generation of car enthusiasts and helped shape how we consume automotive content today. And that brings us to a really interesting part of his story, the legacy he's passing on to his daughter, Leah Block.
Yeah, we touched on this a bit earlier, but Leah is really starting to make a name for herself in motorsports. You mentioned she's already racking up wins and competing at a really high level.
Oh, absolutely. Leah's talent is undeniable. She's inherited her father's driving skills and that same competitive spirit. In 2023, at just 16 years old, she won the American Rally Association Open Two-Wheel Drive Class Championship, becoming the youngest champion in the series history.
Wow. A champion at 16. That's incredible.
And she didn't stop there. She also competed in the Extreme E Off-Road Racing Series, which is all about racing electric SUVs. In some of the most remote and challenging environments on the planet, She was driving against some of the best off-road racers in the world, and she more than held her own.
It sounds like she's not afraid of a challenge, just like her dad.
Not at all. And she's got big plans for the future. Just recently, she joined the F1 Academy series, which is a development series specifically designed to help young female drivers progress towards Formula One.
That's huge. So we might actually see a block on the Formula One grid someday. That'd be amazing.
It's definitely a possibility. She's got the talent, the drive, and the support to make it happen. And the entire motorsport world is watching her journey with anticipation.
It's really inspiring to see Leah carrying on her father's legacy in such a powerful way. She's a reminder that Ken Block's influence extends far beyond his own accomplishments. He's inspired a whole new generation of drivers, and his impact will be felt for years to come.
Well said. Ken Block's passion, creativity, and fearlessness will continue to inspire anyone who dreams of pushing limits and doing what they love.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the life and legacy of Ken Block. We've covered so much ground, from his early days in action sports to his impact on car culture, and of course, the incredible way his daughter Leah is carrying on his legacy in motorsports.
And as we wrap up, I think it's important to take a step back and really appreciate Ken Block's broader impact, like his unique approach to business. And you know what lessons we can all take away from his journey?
Yeah, one of the things that always struck me about Ken Block was that he was more than just a driver. He was a brand builder, a trendsetter, someone who understood how to connect with audiences in the digital age, long before a lot of others caught on.
Oh, he was way ahead of the curve in that respect. He understood the power of social media and digital platforms, like YouTube and Instagram. And he used them not just to promote himself, but to build a community, to interact with fans, and give people a behind-the-scenes look at his life and his career. He made people feel like they were part of the journey.
And he was such a master collaborator. He had these partnerships with major brands like Ford, Subaru, and later Audi. But they weren't just sponsorships. They were more like creative partnerships.
Right.
He brought his own massive online following and his creative vision to the table. And it really helped these companies connect with a younger, more digitally savvy audience.
It was a win-win for everyone involved. He helped those brands reach a new demographic, and those partnerships gave him the resources and the platform to keep pushing the limits of what was possible, both in terms of car builds and the content he was creating.
And let's not forget the iconic cars that came out of those collaborations. The Hoonigan Mustang, the Hoona truck, which was this insane pickup truck with over 900 horsepower. And even that crazy 1978 Ford Escort MK2 RS. All of them were statements. They were reflections of Block's personality, his style, and his willingness to push the boundaries of automotive design and performance.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to experiment, to blend different styles and influences, to create something truly unique. And that approach went beyond the cars themselves. Think about his clothing line, his video game appearances, even his signature wheel designs. He built a whole universe around the Hoonigan brand, a brand that really embodied his spirit of fun, creativity, and pushing the limits.
It's incredible how far his reach extended, impacting everything from the cars we drive to the clothes we wear and the video games we play. He created a culture, a movement that continues to inspire people, even after his passing. He left a real mark on the world.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways from Ken Block's story is the power of authenticity and passion. He was genuinely himself. He loved what he did. And that enthusiasm, that energy was infectious. It's what drew people to him and his work.
He never took himself too seriously. He wasn't afraid to be himself, to have fun, and to take risks, both in his driving and in his business ventures. And in doing so, he achieved a level of success that few could have imagined.
His story is a reminder that it's okay to be different, to challenge conventions and to pursue your passions with relentless dedication. He showed us that you can achieve incredible things. If you're willing to work hard, think outside the box.
Yep.
And never lose sight of what makes you unique.
Well said. And with that, we're going to wrap up our deep dive into the remarkable life and legacy of Ken Block. We covered a lot of ground today, from his early days as an action sports enthusiast to his global impact on car culture and the lasting influence he continues to have on the automotive world.
It's been a fascinating journey exploring his story. And as we've seen, his influence extends far beyond his own accomplishments, especially through his daughter Leah, who is carrying the torch in the world of motorsports.
A huge thank you to all of you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Ken Block. And don't forget to check out new episodes of Vintage Car Chronicles, released daily on Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, and YouTube. Until next time, keep those engines revving